outside of Jackie Young. And I think if we're talking about fit, Jackie Young should be starting too. There is a crazy thing is that I think the last starting five spot, it won't be. I think it should be between Stewie and Fee for the power forward position. In terms of fit. And I think there could be an argument that Sony Citron could start at the 3. But Paige Bueckers, it should be a
Candace Parker recently addressed the ongoing WNBA collective bargaining agreement, negotiations, and discussed several prominent players during an appearance on the All the Smoke podcast. Her comments arrive amid crucial discussions about league compensation structures and player salaries. The CBA negotiations have reached an interesting juncture. Recent proposals include offering players million-dollar salaries, though these packages would eliminate housing provisions.
Paige Bueckers, it should be a unquestionably starting. Like, who's better, Paige or Sabrina? Paige by quite a lot. Like, there is definitely a hierarchy when it comes to these guards in the WNBA, and like, for me, it's Jackie, Caitlin, as I think the only guard I think you can argue is better than Caitlin Clark is Jackie Young. And then there is a small gap to Paige because
the reasoning suggests that athletes earning such amounts should handle their own accommodations. Questions arise about requesting both increased salaries and continued housing benefits, expectations that appear contradictory. Caitlin Clark's off-season activity has been notably subdued. Beyond a few speaking appearances, her public basketball involvement remains minimal.
Jackie Young. And then there is a small gap to Paige because I think Paige is serious. Paige is seriously good. And a lot of Paige's flaws will be hidden on Team USA because she doesn't need to touch the ball or do anything or look to be aggressive in the fourth quarter. She can just slot in and do what they teach you to do in UConn, how to fit in rather than fit out. Whereas with Caitlin Clark, you've got your orchestrator. Paige is not an orchestrator. And Paige Bueckers is somebody that will, when she plays point guard, she will pass the ball side.
Training footage and preparation content have been scarce, which seems unusual for someone of her profile. Uncertainty surrounding the season start date due to CBA negotiations potentially explains this reduced visibility. Parker offered assessments of several elite players during the podcast interview. Regarding A'ja Wilson, Parker highlighted her consistent improvement, noting that Wilson adds new dimensions to her game annually.
She plays point guard. She will pass the ball side to side. And I know that's kind of what, they want. Team USA might want in a point guard. But at the end of the day, it's not what they need in a point guard. What they need in a point guard is a dynamic guard. Like we saw in the Olympics, they were best with Kelsey Plum at the point. They need someone who's going to push the tempo. They need someone that's going to get A'ja Wilson, get Brianna Stewart out running. And we saw it at times with Chelsea Gray, but Chelsea Gray is just too much of a liability in that type of a game. Because in the
this continuous development distinguishes elite performers from merely good ones. Discussing Clark, Parker emphasized her limitless shooting range as a defining characteristic. More significantly, Parker believes Clark has transcended traditional basketball boundaries. The Iowa phenomenon, sellout crowds, and unprecedented regional enthusiasm spread beyond the Midwest because of Clark's ability to connect with audiences.
Too much of a liability in that type of a game. Because in the WNBA, you can hide Chelsea Gray on a power forward. You can make lineups work. You can play her at power forward. You can hide her in that type of lineup. But the problem is that is Chelsea Gray going to be playing on Team USA as a power forward? No, you're going to put in a power forward. And it's kind of hard. It gets harder to do. Like, she is going to be a liability if she's on the team. And I think I wouldn't mind bringing her as a vet. But there's all these weird conversations, and
her impact mirrors how the game has evolved toward perimeter shooting, taking existing trends and elevating them further. Parker drew parallels to how Stephen Curry built upon the foundations established by Reggie Miller and Ray Allen, suggesting Clark has done the same after Diana Taurasi pioneered extended range in women's basketball. Taurasi was the original player who required defensive attention from the parking lot, and Clark has expanded that legacy. Speaking about Taurasi, Parker described her as among the most lethal shot makers, regardless of defensive pressure or location.
But there's all these weird conversations, and the real answer is both Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers should be starting. Now I've seen the dumbest argument. Caitlin Clark starting shooting guard. Paige Bueckers starting point guard. Can you imagine? That's like saying, imagine having playing Nikola Jokic at small forward as a wing and telling Luka to go play center. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like it's playing two players out of position for no reason makes no sense.
Whether facing domestic or international competition, Taurasi maintained consistent excellence. Parker referenced playing against her overseas, where some of the most competitive games occurred away from public view, similar to Olympic team practices that featured intense competition. Taurasi's performance never varied by continent. Opponents knew they would endure difficult nights regardless of venue. Parker characterized Angel Reese as a tremendous competitor with athleticism and versatility uncommon for someone standing 6'4".
For no reason makes no sense. Because Caitlin Clark's not good enough to start shooting guard for Team USA. She's just not very good as a two guard. We can be honest here. She's the best point guard in the world. She's not very good as a two guard. Why? Because her off ball movement isn't very good. And it's one of those things where it's like, I hate this whole, we can turn Caitlin Clark into a Steph Curry. It's like, there is shit you can't really teach. Just like you can't teach Caitlin Clark's vision, you can't teach Caitlin Clark's feel, you can't teach Caitlin Clark's kind of nose for the ball.
Reese's movement capabilities and physical tools allow her to dominate through multiple pathways, making her difficult to scheme against. Regarding Paige Bueckers, Parker described her game as silky smooth with mastery of the mid-range. Bueckers' ability to reach her preferred spots draws comparisons to players like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who manipulate defenders into disadvantageous positions before attacking. The conversation shifted to CBA negotiations and compensation disparities.
Kind of nose for the ball. You can't teach her ability to see things happen before they do. You can't teach her ability to be relentless, go, 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 go. Like, that is in you. A coach isn't going to turn you into that. That is either in you or it's not, and it's in Caitlin Clark. But there's also an off-the-ball feel that you can't teach. You can improve at it, but you can't go from being Caitlin Clark, who doesn't have a great feel off the ball. Like, she can come off curl downs, fine. There's a difference between that and if you...
Commissioner commentary and potential lockout scenarios have generated discussion, with Caitlin Clark earning just $75,000 serving as a prominent example of salary inequities. Parker acknowledged that lockouts damage both players and ownership, though ownership absorbs greater financial impact given their resources. However, Parker emphasized that fan priorities differ from player concerns about compensation. Audiences primarily want entertaining basketball, and more games product quality matters more than salary structures.
Your own damn rent. Like, come on now. Now, y'all can't want to make $1 million then want them to still pay your rent. Make it make sense. Now, with that being said, Caitlin Clark has definitely been in a sunken place, man. I just got to keep it real. She really hasn't been doing nothing. She did just a couple speaking engagements this week. Nothing really to really make videos about. She hasn't been doing anything really, which is crazy to me because you would think she had the whole, like, she was hurt. She's been like not playing ball. Like, shouldn't you footage be coming out of Caitlin playing basketball?
The zeros behind your check discussion resonates with athletes and executives, but carries less weight with consumers seeking entertainment value. Historical jokes about WNBA viability have persisted for years based on financial questions. Current league positioning and broader sports landscape developments make denying women's basketball relevance impossible. Yet women consistently face requests to wait for better deals, wait for increased investment, wait for equitable treatment.
She was hurt. She's been like not playing ball. Like, shouldn't you footage be coming out of Caitlin playing basketball, getting ready for the season? But I guess if you don't know if the season's going to start, hang out. I don't know. Now, Candace Parker made it her business to speak about Caitlin Clark and many others in a recent interview on All the Smoke podcast. Now, she pulled up on All the Smoke, man, and this is what she had to say. Let's pull it up right now. So this is the latest episode of All the Smoke podcast, and it's several things we're going to react to in this. This is Candace Parker speaking about Caitlin Clark, Angel.
This pattern extends beyond sports into broader societal contexts. Social media and NIL opportunities have created transparency that challenges these delay tactics. Parker raised a fundamental question: how can organizations claim inability to pay players over $1 million while compensating coaches significantly more? In traditional sports structures, the best player on any team earns more than the head coach.
Speaking about Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Asia Wilson, let me blow this up real quick. Let's play this, dog.
It's Asia Wilson.
I think just continuing to get better every single year, she's added something to her game.
Caitlin Clark.
Unlimited range, I think is. I know you said, "Oh, first thing." Okay, it's not a word.
No,
I was doing
first
one
thing.
word.
No, first thing.
No, I think she has transcended. I mean, you think about that mid.
Finding a league where coaching salaries exceed top player compensation would be unusual, if not unprecedented. If the WNBA maintains it cannot afford million-dollar player salaries, how are comparable or higher coaching salaries justified? This inconsistency should be addressed in CBA negotiations. Salary transparency creates cascading effects beyond on-court compensation.
I think she has transcended. I mean, you think about that Midwest, fall in love, whatever. You think about what Iowa had, sellout crowds, things like that. It transcended to other areas as a result of her ability to connect with people, and I think that leads back to where the game is now in terms of shooting and her taking that and making it better. And Steph Curry talks about it all the time, like Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, those were the dudes. And Steph has taken that and has added to his craft. And I think, I know Diana.
When WNBA salaries become public knowledge, corporate sponsors and endorsement partners adjust their offers accordingly, often presenting lower figures to women than male counterparts despite comparable or superior social media followings. Paige Bueckers entering the college landscape commanded substantially more followers than Jalen Suggs when he was drafted, yet presumably faced different endorsement markets. The counter-argument suggests this follower advantage represents a recent development rather than historical norm. Only a few women's basketball players, Clark, Bueckers, Reese, Cameron Brink, currently enter professional ranks with follower counts exceeding male draft prospects.
And I think, I know Diana Taurasi is on this list. I think Caitlin Clark has done that because Diana was kind of that first one that had that range where when she walked in the parking lot, you had to guard her.
Yeah. We'll speak to Diana.
Yeah, Diana, just a competitor, I think is one of the deadliest shot makers. No matter who was in her face, no matter what country you're in. I played against her overseas. Sue Bird said this on our podcast, like some of the craziest games were actually
comparing current WNBA draft class social media metrics against NBA draft prospects reveals this advantage remains limited to a few exceptional cases rather than representing systemic change. Using this as precedent for widespread compensation adjustments lacks supporting evidence across the broader player population. Nevertheless, the impact extends throughout the economic ecosystem. Social media has brought numerical transparency that undermines subjective valuations.
Sue Bird said this on our podcast, like some of the craziest games were actually games nobody saw, similar to like the Redeem team or not the Dream team with the Select team. Like it was overseas. That were some of those games. And Diana was didn't matter what continent she was on. She was on, it was going to be an off night for you.
Angel Reese.
I mean, I think just a tremendous competitor, athletic, I think has the versatility and movement at 6'4" to be able to dominate the game in a number of ways.
Paige Bueckers.
Silky smooth.
NIL deals demonstrate market worth before athletes reach professional leagues. This transparency forces more honest conversations about value, compensation, and equity across sports. The data now exists to support arguments that were previously dismissed or delayed through vague promises about future opportunities.
Mid-range master. She kind of reminds me a little bit in her ability to get to her spots, almost like Shea a little bit.
Things are getting a little spicy out here in the streets. Was it Nafisha? Nafisha went in on the commissioner. The CBA is set to expire soon. People are thinking the lockout may be looming. Stars like Caitlin Clark only making $75K. What is your thought process? Because you were, obviously Lisa and them started it, and you had a heavy influence.
Parker expressed gratitude for social media's role in creating accountability through measurable metrics. Numbers eliminate ambiguity and force stakeholders to confront realities rather than relying on assumptions or outdated models. The NIL era has established player value before professional contracts begin, creating baseline expectations that leagues must address rather than ignore.
Obviously, Lisa and them started it. You had a heavy influence on carrying it to where it is today. And now, I feel lockouts only hurt us. Lockouts only hurt players. What are your thoughts on?
It hurts the owners a little bit too. Zeros behind your check. And with that being said, a number of zeros behind your check. And
that's from y'all standpoint. The fans don't really care how much money you make. We just want to see better entertaining, more games, bro. Like she talking about zeros behind your check. That's y'all point of view. We want to see more better.
The fundamental tension remains between traditional compensation structures and evolving market realities. As negotiations continue, these competing interests will determine whether the WNBA adapts its financial model or maintains existing frameworks despite evidence suggesting they no longer reflect player value or market dynamics. The outcome will shape not just salaries but the league's long-term competitive positioning and ability to retain top talent.